Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can hear my sound good. Um, and I hope that you are all healthy and safe. I'm going to cover arrays and vectors in general. This is in your lesson 8, and this is inside of your zybook. I know that you can see this one and you can simulate it in your own, but it's still very important that, I go through. Certain certain topics just for clarification, and we're going to go through it together, right? So if you can see in here, a typical variable stores one data item like the number 59 or the character A. Instead, sometimes a list of data items should be stored. So for example, in here, if you notice, a program recording points scored in each quarter of a basketball game needs a list of four numbers. Requiring a programmer to declare four variables is actually not the best idea, and it's annoying, right? But 200 variables would just be ridiculous simply because that's way too much, right? So we're going to talk about arrays and vectors in general. We all know what an array is, right? An array is like a special variable, very similar to your variable, having one name, and you're actually storing those items in one basket. So with each item being directly accessible. So some languages use a construct similar to an array, which is called vector. So for this demonstration, it's gonna cover more for the vector side, right? So again, the standard template library, if I may say that right away, the standard template library includes a data type called vector, right? So this is very similar to your one-dimensional array, but has some advantages as compared to just a regular array, right? So if you're wondering, what do you mean by a standard template library? These are connection or collection, should I say, I can't even talk right now. Maybe I need some more tea, right? STL or standard template library, these are collection of programmer defined data types and some algorithms that are available for us to use for C++ programs, right? These data types and algorithms are not part of the C++ language, but were created in addition to the built-in data types. So um, this one covers for, or this introduces the STL data type, which is vector, right? And this is the coverage of this lecture, right? The vector data type, again, just to somehow emphasize a couple of things in here, the vector data type is a sequence container that is very similar to your one-dimensional array. Like it holds for what? It holds for sequence of values or the elements as we call it. The vector or a vector, they store its elements in contiguous memory locations as well. So that's why they're very similar to your array. You can use the array subscript operator, which is the flat brace, to be able to access individual elements in your vector. So those are just some of the points that I would like to emphasize on how similar they are to a one-dimensional array. However, vector, they also offer certain advantages over arrays. And some of those would be you don't need to declare, you don't need to declare the number of elements that the vector will have. And that's pretty good, right? If you add a value to a vector that is already full, the vector will automatically increase the size to accommodate that new element or that new value. Vectors can report the number of elements that they can contain. So these are some of the advantages um, in so many ways of vectors over arrays, right? I think one of the things that I really like in there that the vector will automatically increase the size to accommodate, new value, right? So Moving forward in here, if you notice that if I am going to start, I'm gonna speed it twice, right? So notice that if you, hold on, if I do that and I'm gonna click play in here, some variables should store a list of data items like the variable points quarter for this example, and it's going to store for what? For those four items. So this is just an example, and it's going to be accessible and it's going to be stored for each of that data, right? All right, so I'm just going to play it one more time so you can see. There you go. This is what I like about our reference book. It's just so interactive, right? So this one, I like this visual representation in here that you might think of a normal variable as a truck. Actually, for the example that I have provided before, it's like, different cars park on a parking lot versus like, let's say a bus that can hold for 50 students, right? So it's similar to that an array variable is like a train. Okay. So that is a very good example. For this participation activity, I'm going to go through certain participation activity so that, it will be a little bit more interactive. I have what? I have my array and it has two index. Let's just go and start that one. Let's go check, and you can see that this one will be stored and contains those data data for each of the location, right? All right, there you go. And update this one, jump to level 1, and then check. Oop, hold on, I'm like clicking the other way in here. Okay, array is a feature that enables this section. Okay, maybe I'm clicking this one differently. All right, let me just check this one. All right, let's go through. That one didn't go so well. It was like running pretty good before. But let's go through some of the participation questions in here. Array people per day has 365 elements. For each year of the year, valid accesses are people per day sub 0, sub 1, and so on and so forth, right? So again, array people per day has 365 elements, one for each day of the year. Valid valid accesses are people, and so on and so forth. For question one, okay, so let's try to have that if I will do that correctly as well. Which assigns element 0 to value 250? What do you think, guys? Okay, again, we're assigning 250. So for this, let's see, this is the perfect, awesome. Assigns element 0 to 250, right? For the second one, which assigns element 1 with value 99? I think that's an obvious answer. I'm assigning 99 in there. What is the value of people per day sub 8, provided that you have given numbers in there? You're assigning 5 to people day sub 9, and there's a given in here. So what do you think should be the answer? Without checking. So far I am doing pretty good, right? It's also good, I would say review and checkpoint. Oh, sorry about that sound. Checkpoint if you're really understanding it correct, right? What is the value of people per day sub 8? What do you think? This should be, keep in mind, this is people per day sub 9 minus 3. What do you think? So this one will be, yay! So this one is 2. Okay? So far we're doing very good. Assume n, question 4, or participation question number 4. Assume n is initially 1. What is the value of people per day 2? What do you think? So basically we have, let's analyze that one. Um, we assign people per day sub n to 15. Then, so you have n equals n plus 1. People per day n minus 1. So this one, people per day sub 1 is assigned with 15. People sub day sub 2 is assigned with people per day 1 because of the n minus 1, right? Times 3. So that is what? That is 15 times 3. Oh, that's 45. Let's check that. Oh, woohoo! You got it for that. So that's number, um, answer for that is 45, right? So let's go through some of the questions that you have in here. So let's assign what? Assign the first element and scores list with 77. What do you think? Assign the first element. So that is, let's do that right here. Okay. So scores list 0. All right. I'm using a different laptop. That's why the numbers are on the top, which I'm not used to. All right. So let's see if that is correct. So we're assigning 77 and then let's check that. Woohoo! We got it correctly. There you go. So on the second one, let's do assign second element and scores list to what? To the second element. Keep in mind that the second element is what? That's the sub 1. So scores list, and then this one is 1. This is a close, equals sign 77, right? So don't be confused with that. I know it says like second element. It's just so easy to put like 2 in there, but it started with 1. Oh, there you go. Awesome. Beautiful. So let's see in here, assign the last element with 77. What is the last? So let's see what the program is. Array scores list has 10 elements with indices 0 to 9. Access as scores list sub 0 to list sub 9. So that one, I think that's an obvious answer at the very top. So it ends with what? 9. So scores list, and then here 9, and then we're going to assign 77. Okay, so check. Beautiful. So I'm going to go through with maybe until this number 5 question. There's so many participation questions, but so far we're doing really good in here. So number 4, if that array instead of 100 elements has 100 elements, what is the last element's index? What do you think? So 0 to what? 0 to the last. So you have 100 elements. So what's the last? That's 99. Let's see. There you go. That is correct. So let's have question number 5. If the array's last index was 499, how many elements does the array have? How many? That is 500. Let's see. All right. That is really good. So anyway, we were able to have like the first portion of the 7.1. I know you have so many more questions in there. Um, and this is just the first part of the video, so it's not like too long. I'm going to go through the second part, which will focus for vectors, but I gave you a good introduction already. So I hope you have a good, wonderful day ahead of you or the rest of your day. I will see you, everybody, and I hope you can watch this one. And for those who weren't able to join for our remote instruction, that is fine as long as you watch this video. All right?